So I'm going to open the chat. See more. There is a chat and a Q&A. I think it's better to do the chat to the panelists. If you want it to be anonymous, if you want to everybody online to see, you can do to everyone for the question. So I'm passionate about this call. How can we boost our immune system? There's so much negative news that I've spent a lot of time on the phone with people literally in a panic on what to do. And we know panic immediately affects our immune system. So thank you for being here so we can have this discussion. For those who don't know me, I'm a retired nurse. I'm a health coach. I've worked in the IT world as well, and I'm a functional diagnostic and functional medicine practitioner and a yoga teacher. And I have transformed my own health, and so can you. And one of my businesses my husband and I had was we built a railroad bridge out of recycled plastics. And who would think that we could do such a thing? So I'm going to ask you to keep your minds open and rethink everything. And you can always tell a book by a cover. My book, it's Savvy Secrets, Eat, Think, and Thrive. We're going to talk about how you can eat, think, and thrive during this crisis. As I woke up this morning and I was thinking about some of the points I wanted to make tonight, I thought of a recent book I'm reading, The Ultramind Solution by Dr. Mark Hyman. I recommend it highly, a great book. And here's a couple of quotes I picked up from his book. Discovery consists of seeing what everybody else has seen and thinking what nobody has thought. This is a Nobel laureate in physiology and medicine, the scientist who isolated vitamin C, which we have known for over 100 years. We're going to talk about this. And why isn't the media talking about some of the simple solutions? If you've seen my Instagram and my blog posts, I've been really passionate about this week. What is it that we can do to help boost our immune system? And so how can we see something differently? For the great enemy of truth is very often not the lie, deliberate, contrived, and dishonest, but the myth, persistent, persuasive, and unrealistic. Too often we hold fast to the cliches of our forebears. We subject all facts to a prefabricated set of interpretations. We enjoy the comfort of opinion without the discomfort of thought. So I'm going to invite us to have a thoughtful, lively discussion. Please join on the chat on how we can expand our minds to improve our health and boost our immune system. And you don't have to turn on the news for very long to see the polarity in politics. Everybody's pointing the finger, everybody's talking about the problem, nobody's talking about the solution. So I'm passionate about sharing with you some solutions that have just helped me personally. I'm not a physician, I'm not giving medical advice. I'm going to share with you some of the things that have worked for me and in my practice. I was very sick in January with the flu. A month ago when I did the last live talk interviewing the only functional medicine trained cardiologist in the region, you may have known I was losing my voice. I had woken up with a bad sore throat then. So I'm going to share some of my own things that supported me through this, and hopefully that if you feel ill or get these symptoms, they can support you too. And, you know, we all know this quote from Albert Einstein: insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So all dis-ease, all illness is an opportunity for us to think about not what's wrong with us, but what's my body trying to tell us? What is this pandemic trying to tell us that we might think about doing something different in order to protect us and our loved ones? Let me know if there are any questions so far. I wrote this post several years ago. The parable of the traveler that met the Black Plague and asked, "Where are you going?" The plague replied, "I'm on my way to Baghdad to slay 5,000. On the way back, he met the same traveler who said, "You told me you were going to kill only 5,000, but I hear that 50,000 died." He replied, "I told you truly. I slew only 5,000. The other 45,000 were killed through fear." Let's not let this happen to us, folks. In my book, I talk about the placebo and the nocebo effect. I reference an NIH study on on chemotherapy, where the control group were taking the chemo drug that was expected to lose their hair, and the control group that took the sugar pill also lost all of their hair. The power of the mind. So if you don't get anything from this short time together in this coaching call, I'm hoping you're going to open up your mind to get out of the fear and go from fear to empowerment. What is it we can do that can help us? And we'll talk about fear versus courage. Fear keeps us stuck. It's incapacitating, and it completely shuts down the immune system. We have the enteric nervous system. We have a nervous system, more neurotransmitters, more nerves in our gut, as many as we have in the whole spinal cord. It's separate from the central nervous system that I often talk about, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system, but it communicates with each other. And you've all experienced this when you have get butterflies in the stomach, when you have that gut reaction. Often that's the more true, honest reaction. We get that before it has time to travel to our conscious thought to think about it. We might get GI distress. We might get diarrhea when you were under constant stress. So we can see how fear and the mind affects us physiologically. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is empowering. It's what can we do. It's acknowledging the fear and choosing the action to take action anyway. So I don't mean to minimize this pandemic and the scare with the COVID-19. What I want to do is give you some tools that you can be concerned, but you can't be incapacitated. We want to really boost your immune system. Send me a chat if this makes sense to you. Just put something in the chat box if this is resonating with you, or if this is helpful. This is my 7 steps to optimal health. Is the first step is to begin is to take an honest personal assessment. Thank you. So this is a quote from Dr. Mark Hyman. He is the president, the chairman of the Institute for Functional Medicine, of which I am a huge fan on. I think it's going to it's already transforming healthcare. Americans live on caffeine and Prozac. We use substances to manage our moods. In fact, the 4 top-selling items in grocery stores are all drugs that we use to manage our mood and our energy. Caffeine, sugar, alcohol, and nicotine. You know me, I do Kickstart to Wellness. I'm going to do a short 7-day intermittent fasting Kickstart to Wellness at the end of next month, just so we can address how what we're putting in our mouth affects our mood. So take an honest personal assessment. So I want us to all take a minute. Oh, Joe Pizzurno is now the chairman of IFM, not Mark Hyman. All right, thanks. Mark Hyman is the chairman of the Institute of Functional Medicine for the Cleveland Clinic, who just finished a whole survey, study showing that functional medicine can reduce healthcare and improve the outcomes, in some cases stop and even reverse chronic diseases. So definitely noteworthy news that is not in the mainstream, in the media yet. Why not? Why not? So let's just take a moment and let's identify the fear. We all have. I'm going to die of the coronavirus. And then I want you to ask yourself these questions. Do you know this to be true? Is this 100% true? is there a chance that this might not be true? And then what would my life be like? Oops. And then what would my life be like if it were not true? And can we just close our eyes for a minute and breathe and think about how would I feel? How would we feel if this weren't happening to us now? And in our minds, can we feel that way now? Can we take a break in the middle of the day, in the middle of this crisis, and have a different connection between our mind and our gut? Probably the most valuable thing you can do is take a mini break during the day when you're stressed and you're overwhelmed, and turn things around, reframe them. Yep, fear sends that adrenaline out, for sure. So here's an email that I got from one of my clients. It's a 71-year-old man with an immune-compromised system. I'm feeling both fearful, depressed, and mildly terrified. Does that not sum it up with what we're seeing on the news? In any event, I'm not leaving the house except for brief walks between now and the end of March, which obviously includes our appointment. Thank you. Please let me know if you think this is unwise. No, I think it's, I'm really encouraging people to get out and walk. Get out at least 15 minutes several times a day. 30 minutes a day of brisk walking will improve everybody's health. How many of us do this now? This is an opportunity to do things differently. As I said, it's going to be 70s and 80s the next few days. Get as much vitamin D as you can. Get out in the sun. We are social people. We cannot not be outside. We have a lot of toxins within our house. We're going to briefly talk about that. I can't possibly cover everything I want to cover on this call, so we might have to have another one if there's interest. But open the windows, get some fresh air. And then he says, meanwhile, hope you're taking good care of yourself and not just paying attention to your patients. Thank you very much. Yes, this is so true for healthcare providers and the healthcare providers that are on this call. The most challenging thing is for us to walk the walk, is to take care of ourselves, because we cannot. And if you're a caregiver, you're taking care of others who are sick. We're only as good as healthy as we are. So we need to have a leadership role. We need to come forward and not only calm ourselves down, but calm our families down. You know, this can be an opportunity to improve the relationships with our family, or it could be kind of a disaster if everybody is full of anxiety and our coping skills are not as honed as we'd like them to be. So this is a beautiful opportunity to have some really constructive change within the family too, if you're a family unit. If you live by yourself, it's really important. Self-care is even more important. So we get to choose how we view everything. This is my juice from this morning. Is the glass half empty or is it half full? This is, I woke up this morning, I was out of water because I have big 5-gallon glasses of Mountain Valley spring water delivered to my home, and we've been drinking more, we've been in the house more, so I ran out of water. So I had celery, I had beets, I had some kale, carrots, and that's what I juiced in the morning. Will you be the 98% that will survive the COVID-19 virus? We have to remember that it's 2% that will be affected by this. And so 98% of us, are we seeing this as, what do we need to do to be the 98% so that we not only survive this, but we thrive? And that's my goal. So we're gonna talk about strategies to boost the immune system and do what your body does naturally. There's no silver bullet. I'm not telling you you have to go get this and that. It's how do we maximize minimize and prioritize. The problem with our conventional medicine is that we may have, we've chopped the body up. So we may have 6 specialists for a gastroenterologist, an endocrinologist, and gynecologist, a gastroenterologist, a psychiatrist, and we're getting a pill for every ill, and we're looking at all of these symptoms, and we're looking for the magic bullet. We're looking for the pill that is going to keep us safe and cure us. Well, there is no cure, and there's likely not to be a cure because viruses mutate, and the more and so do we. So some basics of functional medicine is every person is unique. Everything in the body is interconnected. The body naturally wants to get to wellness and equilibrium. We want to maintain homeostasis, and this is why the body gets used to all of our abuse and our toxins and our caffeine and our sugar and our alcohol, because it's trying to maintain balance until all of a sudden you've got diabetes, or all of a sudden you've got high blood pressure, or all of a sudden you've got dementia. And the body just says no more, or we have the symptoms of disease. So disease precedes the diagnosis of disease. We could have 10 people with upper respiratory infections, and they could all have different root causes, seemingly unrelated. I've got food sensitivities. I'm sensitive to dairy, and it's mucus forming, and therefore I've got a respiratory distress. I've got, I may have a mold in my house, a hidden stressor that I'm not even aware of, hidden stressors. I may have a heavy metals from amalgams in my mouth that have interrupted my gut lining. I may have be taking birth control pills, or aspirin, or Motrin, or steroids, asthma inhalers that's interrupting my gut. The root cause may be very distant and seemingly unrelated from the symptom. All autoimmune diseases start in the gut. And where the body is, it may be different. You've heard me say before, when I graduated from nursing school, we had mainly about 5 autoimmune diseases. Now we have over 100. What's changed? Our genes haven't changed. Our diet and our lifestyle has changed. So the solution is always different from someone else's. You may have a deficiency in vitamin A and D and zinc that is interfering. So you have to be an active participant in the healing. This is why in coaching we co-create a plan together. And it's also very important to believe in the power to heal and in your own treatment, whatever it is you choose, because the body follows the mind. So my goal is to inspire, educate, and empower you to be in the top 98%. Are you going to be part of the solution, or are we going to be stuck in the fear mode? So I was talking with a colleague of mine who used to be a virologist, worked in the virology lab, and 2 points she made to us at the School for Applied Functional Medicine just yesterday. Viruses mutate, and viruses become less virulent over time. Like everything else in nature, it's not in their best interest to kill the host. So by the time the virus has mutated from China to Italy to the US, we've changed, the virus has changed. It is most likely going to become less virulent. So that many of us may have it. We may have symptoms. It doesn't mean that we're going to die. We're going to be part of the percentage. I always talk about public health is interested in numbers. I'm interested in the N of 1, in you and me, and what we can do to empower ourselves. If you have a healthy immune system, you are better able to fight the viruses. Over 60% of the immune system is in the gastrointestinal tract, from the mouth all the way to the anus. That's a GI tract. And as I said, the gut has its own nervous system, so your thoughts matter. What we eat, what we think, and what we do matters. And then food matters. Junk food is an oxymoron. We either have junk or we have food. And so much of what's in the grocery store that we're stocking up is junk. So this is an opportunity to, if you're not used to being in the kitchen, if you're not used to cooking, I had sent out a blog post with places where you can have food delivery. You can get an imperfect produce box delivered with fresh organic produce to you. You can start a garden. There's many choices that we can make differently. And then external stress, fear, as well as the internal hidden stressors, like food sensitivities, gut issues, like overgrowth of candida, parasites, H. pylori, pathogenic bacteria. These are all things we test for in the functional medicine world. Or environmental stressors, mold, mercury, lead, or the 80,000 allowed chemicals that are in our food, our air, our water, our beauty, and our household products. These all affect our immune system. My goal of this call is not to scare you about, oh my God, it's to empower you to what better choices can we make. So every one of my clients, we see this, and we're going to see this again. The solution for health: maximize what your unique body needs in the raw materials to function and heal. That is your food, your vitamins, your minerals, oxygen, antioxidants, proteins, healthy fats, and carbs. We need all of them. So there's no one diet that works for everybody. We have to stop fighting about what's the perfect diet. There is no one diet. And we already talked about believing the therapy that one is choosing is effective and safe. Minimize. We're going to take out what's harmful for your unique body and soul. It's not just in toxins, infections, allergens, stress, and trauma, but our fear, our limiting beliefs, our negative expectations. And then prioritizing self. This is the hardest thing for most of my clients. Create an environment for healing. Sleep is the number one importance. I didn't put a lot of slides in for sleep. We might have to have another call just on sleep. Rest, laughter, stress reduction. Get some movies. Family movies. There are some great movies that are educational and entertaining. That sugar film is one of my favorite. And because we know sugar drastically reduces your immune system and causes inflammation, and is probably the number one health issue we have today, sugar and alcohol. Watch that sugar film, and it will entertain you and open up your eyes and see how fast we can develop, not only damage our immune system, but develop fatty liver. We have fatty liver in a lot of our young kids, and how it affects our mood and more. Deep breathing, exercise, stretching, meaningful relationships, positive visualizations and associations. So I want you to think about all of these things right now, and how do we bring more of this into your life? I was searching for references and consumer, and on page 14 of Google search, when I'm looking at supplements with Consumer Labs, they have put out their own issue. And I want to, so I'm briefly going to talk with just some vitamins and mineral that can help you if you're not getting enough. Not saying that everybody has to run out and get these, but that these can be a boost short term to help you. And I did a blog post on this. There are many supplements that can possibly reduce symptoms. We'll talk about some of those too, and then they've got this list. But of course, from the CDC and the World Health Organization, washing our hands, not putting our hands in our face, not coughing on people, but having a healthy diet, adequate exercise, not excessive. If you're totally exhausted when you're finished, your adrenals are stressed and you're exercising too much. The more we work out, the more we exercise, the more we stress ourselves, the more nutrients we need, particularly vitamin C, magnesium, vitamin D. And then control. Take steps to really get a hold of, if you've got hypertension, you've got blood sugar fluctuations, you've got diabetes, these are the people who are more affected. Think about seeing a functional medicine practitioner and getting a health coach to help you. So vitamin C. The body needs vitamin C for a strong immune system. It needs more when you're sick. 200 milligrams of vitamin C will stop 8 out of 10 elderly people with severe pneumonia from dying. Vitamin C is a simple solution that saves lives. In the emergency room, in the intensive care unit, 6 to 24 milligrams a day may be used. I wrote a blog post about how I went to get an IV vitamin C when I was sick. And you don't have to go get IVs, vitamin C. You can get it orally and get as much benefit. Oral is the best prevention, 500 to 1,000 milligrams at a time, both with meals and in between meals. Simply take enough to be symptom-free. We're all different. The body will naturally bring in more liquid into the stool to, if you have excess vitamin C or you're taking too much too fast, it will call loose stools. So you cannot get sick or toxic from too much vitamin C. In high doses, vitamin C becomes antiviral. In higher doses, it's been used to kill cancer cells. With my daughter's integrative cancer program, that's exactly what we did, high dose vitamin C with other nutrients. The famous Reardon Clinic in Wichita, Kansas has used this for a decade as an adjuvant therapy. The coronavirus is the same kind of virus that causes the common cold, and as we know, viruses are constantly mutating. And as I said, that's why there's no specific treatment or cure. And know that 98% will survive. Death outside of China is similar to other flu epidemics, and the SARS death rate, which we didn't have so much publicity, was 9%. These were facts on Monday. They may have changed by now. The news changes every day. But Andrew Saul is one of the top orthomolecular scientists of the last 40 years, and he shared this, that the Chinese Medical Association is advocating now the use of vitamin C. So I'm not sure why we're not seeing this in the news and why everybody's not doing it, but so I felt compelled to share this with you. Somebody asked me, what's the name of the movie I recommended? That Sugar film. It's an Australian film. I'll put it in the chat. It's an Australian film that won many awards, and it's very clever and educational. And so in Australia, they eat less sugar than we do in the United States. So he did his experiment, only eating no candy, no sodas, no cakes or ice cream, or he was going to just eat the amount that the average Australian citizen eats, and then he goes to the US, and then we see what happens to him. So it's well worth seeing. And we know that sugar depletes the body of essential nutrients like chromium, which helps manage blood sugar and cholesterol, as well as vitamin C. Yeah, thank you. Somebody else has said it's a fabulous movie too. So what are foods high in vitamin C? One of my early cookbooks that I really liked to get when I got into this was The World's Healthiest Food. There's a link here. When you get the replay, you can use it. It doesn't include exotic foods that we're seeing with a lot of the health food stores like camu camu, acai. It's only commonly found. And so you can see fruits and vegetables high in vitamin C. So we don't have to take supplements. We can get it in food. And supplements are supplemental. It's best to get from food. The problem is we don't eat our 5 to 9 servings of vegetables and fruits a day. And a lot of our fruits and vegetables are highly sprayed with toxins that can affect us. So we want to get organic if you can. It's a beautiful time now to start a garden. It's cheap, it's inexpensive, and then you can have plant it once, and you can have lettuces and cauliflower and a lot of these vegetables year round. Vitamin D for disease prevention. There have been studies that have shown vitamin D is more effective than the flu vaccine, especially in the elderly, especially in nursing homes. So, and I gave you some references here. Vitamin D supplementation to prevent acute respiratory tract infections. Here's a study that I think included 110,000 people. So another simple solution, get outside. Some signs that you might be vitamin D deficient: if you're sad. Seasonal affective disorder has been definitely linked to lack of vitamin D. The darker the skin, the more sun you need for vitamin C, because the melanin is a natural sunscreen. Really avoid the sunscreen. It's full of, most sunscreens are full of carcinogens. Go to Environmental Working Group for Safe Sunscreen. Get as much natural sun on as much of your body as you can. And when you start to turn pink or red, then you cover up. And you may have to build up a tolerance for vitamin D. If your bones ache, the RDA, the recommended daily allowance for all vitamins, it's like 100 years old. It is to prevent rickets, 400 IUs, and some studies have said they're off. It should probably be more like 4,000 IUs. But it doesn't tell us optimal health. We need vitamin D, we need magnesium, we need K to keep the calcium locked in the collagen and the matrix and the bones. So if your bones ache, it's a clear sign that you may be deficient. If you have stomach issues affecting absorption of fat and fat-soluble vitamins, this includes all autoimmune diseases. If you've had your gallbladder removed, if you're not processing fats, you don't feel well after you eat fat, there's malabsorption, there's maldigestion. If you have insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome, cardiovascular disease, or diabetes, vitamin D is needed for adequate blood levels of insulin. All of these are the same. We become insulin resistant first, and we get metabolic syndrome, we get cardiovascular disease or diabetes or cancers. Many expressions of the same, sometimes the same group of root causes. If you're 50 or older, your body tends to produce less vitamin D. Most of us, especially between October and May, if you're in the DC area like I am or north, we need to supplement with vitamin D, or it's very hard to get it in our food. And then a little levity. Be open-minded, but not so open-minded that your brain falls out. Foods high in vitamin D. Cod liver oil. It's been sometimes taken out and put back in because of processing, but the original sources: salmon, sardines, cow's milk, tuna, eggs, mushrooms, shiitake. This is from the world's healthiest food source. I caution about tuna. If you're eating tuna every week, you most likely have some mercury toxicity. It's often high in mercury. I was, when I tested my mercury, it was off the charts, and so was lead, and I was really addicted to sushi, eating lots of tuna. Plus I'd had amalgams removed, but not safely. So I've switched to salmon and sardines primarily, and eggs are a very common allergen. If you've eliminated gluten and dairy and cleaned up your diet, and you're still having, feeling optimal health, you may need to do a further elimination diet, or even get a food sensitivity test. And albumin, the protein that's in eggs, is in a lot of vaccines. So it's easy for us to become, create antibodies or sensitive, unfortunately, to eggs, which I think are a superfood. Zinc is responsible for over 200 enzymes, and it's vital for the immune function, for the pH balance, for protein synthesis, fat metabolism, and digestion. It's a component of insulin, which is so important for our energy metabolism, the thymic hormones for our immune system, and for taste. Signs that you might be zinc deficient include fatigue, decreased immunity or poor wound healing. I have a wound that just won't heal. Loss of taste or anorexia, behavioral disturbances, infertility, night blindness, white spots on the nails, dermatitis, acne, skin conditions. Anybody who has malnourishment, malabsorption, Crohn's, celiac, gut issues, you're losing your hair. Zinc is very common with iron deficiency anemia because you need strong stomach acid to have the absorption. You might be getting it in the diet, but you're not absorbing it. You need strong stomach acid to stimulate an intrinsic factor down in the small intestine to get the zinc and B12 and iron all absorbed into the bloodstream. And unfortunately, we're taking PPIs for GERD, for gastric reflux, or too often, which lowers our stomach acid. And it may treat the symptom, but it's actually causing a lot of downstream populations. When I do health fairs, I'll often take a zinc tally test to have people taste zinc and see if they have enough zinc. If they can't really taste a really strong, bitter taste, that means they're needing the zinc. And 99% of the people just in the trade show, and I've been to IMF, World Bank, State Department, everybody is deficient in zinc. I'm going to caution you, if you take too much zinc for too long, it can push down your copper status, and copper is equally important. And so sometimes I like a zinc-copper combination. And so we're all individual. I'm not giving medical advice here, but I will tell you short term what you might consider if you've got these symptoms to boost your immune system. So we're all different and we're all individual. Foods that are high in zinc: beef, liver, spinach, asparagus, mushrooms. I don't know why he doesn't include liver in any of his recommendations, but it is a very good source of zinc and copper. When you get zinc in whole foods, you're also getting copper in the right balance. The right balance is typically 10 to 15 to 1. So it's always best to get in food and then supplement if you've got the symptoms or you need a boost for 5 to 7 days, a week, maybe, depending on how deficient you are and how what your needs are. I always say we can guess or we can test. I'm a big advocate of doing micronutrient testing just so we know for sure. Vitamin A is another fat-soluble vitamin that helps to regulate the immune system. It promotes optimal lymphocyte, that's your white blood cells, function in defending against bacterial and viral infections. It promotes a healthy surface linings of the respiratory, the GI tract, where 60% of our immune system is right there. It's we need a good lining and a police force there to say what's friend or foe. So it promotes that healthy service. Also the lungs, the respiratory tract, the intestinal tract, the urinary tract, and the eyes. There's a large number of symptoms that are affected if you have a deficiency of vitamin A. And signs may include, I've got skin issues, I've got eczema, I've got psoriasis, I've got acne. Many people take a synthetic form of vitamin A for acne, whereas you could really just boost it with natural vitamin A. Infertility, very common. Gastrointestinal and gallbladder issues, because again, the gallbladder, we need bile acids for the absorption of that vitamin A. Of course, respiratory, night blindness, epithelial degeneration of the eye, vitamin A and C. A lot of these things that are boosting the immune system can help with these chronic diseases. They think cataracts are the new scurvy, vitamin C deficiency. Degeneration of the eye is deficiency of vitamin A. If you have low white blood cells on your standard CBC, think about what we need to boost the blood cells. If you have abnormal growth in children or bone formation, again, wound healing, and alcohol intake is a common contributor to deficiencies. Too much vitamin D supplementation can contribute to vitamin A deficiency too. So for those who are taking these huge, and I've had clients, IV vitamin D, big doses of vitamin D, pushing down their vitamin A, and we're prone then to autoimmune disease. We need vitamin A and vitamin D to keep the strong lining of the gut. If you have an autoimmune disease, one of my specialties that I work with, then you definitely need to look at what's going on in the gut and heal the gut. I don't care whether it's the pancreas and type 1 diabetes, or if it is macular degeneration in the eyes, or in my case, I had vitiligo, which changed the pigment of my skin I had for 2 decades until I was able to heal and not only and put in remission, but repigment my skin. So we can, we don't have to be stuck with our diagnoses. We need adequate zinc for the transport of vitamin A. So it's not about what we eat, it's what we digest, and then what we can get into the bloodstream, and then from the bloodstream into the cell. So there's many ways that we can break down that we need to address when we're looking at maximizing nutrition. Yes, vitamin D, vitamin A, vitamin D, all these fat-soluble vitamins can be toxic in excess. Provitamin A or beta-carotene and mixed carotenes, extremely rare. These are the carotenoids that are found, the vitamin A that is found in fruits and vegetables. Retinoid in the form that's found in animal proteins. Again, you need awfully high doses for a long time to worry about toxicity. But if you're getting it in food, we really don't have to worry. Food sources of both forms of vitamin A. Of course, we can have excess of everything. Beef liver is number 1. Look at the difference. The retinol activity equivalents of beef liver, 6,582, versus the next one down, cod liver, 4,000, sweet potato, 1,000, canned pumpkin, it drastically goes down. So one of the recipes I hand out is my liver pate with lots of onions and garlic and allspice, and it really takes away that strong smell or odor or flavor. It's quite delicious. Many people don't even know they're eating liver. So here is a suggestion, and again, only for 5 to 7 days. I see people asking me how much zinc and how much vitamin D do you recommend daily? And again, it depends. Vitamin D daily, most of us need about 2,000 IUs in a good multivitamin with appropriate amounts of vitamin A in mixed and carotenoids and retinol. I'd like to see a little of both, maybe 5,000 of A, 2,000 of D in a multi is great. For acute, I'm getting symptoms, I'm fearful, maybe 5 to 7 days for a boost, 10,000 IUs of vitamin A and vitamin D equally, 2,000 IUs of vitamin C, again, like I said, broken down 4 or 5 times a day, 30 to 45 milligrams of zinc. Really, we never need to go over 50 milligrams of zinc. And depends on your diet. Zinc is high in animal foods, lower in vegetarian foods, but you need good, strong stomach acid for it, and a good probiotic. I also like to take omega-3 fish oil to lower inflammation, and a good multivitamin. And vitamin literally means vital for life. So let's see what we can boost ours. Maximizing clean air and water. My goal is to inspire it. Drink half your body weight in clean filtered water. And what I personally use is I get Mountain Valley spring water, and you can go to the Giant and get the big glass bottles of it when they're in stock I don't like to drink out of plastic if possible because especially if it's been heated or it has a liquid, it's been, the plastic can leach toxins from the plastic into the water. So glass or stainless steel is my preference. There's countertop filtration systems. Berkey, AquaTrue is a reverse osmosis that I'm really looking at right now. AquaPure. Get a filter for your shower. Chlorine and fluoride compete with your thyroid, and we're inhaling it in the hot water, and it's getting into our skin. So I recommend everybody get a good filter that has chlorine and fluoride free. For the bedroom, air filters, and one of the top ones that I'm looking at and probably going to buy myself is an Air Doctor. It is less expensive than the Air IQ and the Austin Air. And you can see Environmental Working Group for further resources. So we have to think about maximizing our well-being. And I like to use this from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, the wheel, to look at, just for us to take time while we are homebound, what is our satisfaction with each of these areas in our life? And how can we use this as an opportunity for improvement? And then draw a circle between the dots. You know, at the edge, I'm the most satisfied, in the middle, not so much. And if it's not a round spoke, then we might not, or our life might not be rolling as smoothly as it could. And sometimes we'll use this in coaching to help prioritize areas that we want to look at to maximize our well-being. And so I want you to think about a second takeaway here. What's your definition of well-being? And then we have all the factors that can either support or detract our well-being. So we talked a lot about maximizing what your unique body needs, and we're almost to the hour point. So briefly, I want to talk about minimizing what's harmful and what we can take out. We are bombarded with 80,000 toxins, everything from our food, our supplements, our medicines. We want to get pure, clean. Laundry detergent, sprays, toothpaste, sunscreen. Many of our beauty cosmetics are, the word fragrance can have 3,000 chemicals in it. I see somebody has said on here, thank you, Diana. Beauty Counter has amazing sunscreen without a bunch of bad stuff in it. Yes, and I actually use Beauty Counter makeup. I love it. It's better beauty. I'm trying to support these small businesses that are woman-owned or made in the USA to help us during this time of crisis. We're worried about getting things shipped from China. Well, you know, companies that have ethical sourcing and do the testing to remove and have a never list. 1,800 toxins are removed from all of the skincare and cosmetics from Beauty Counter. Another one I really love is Pure Haven. I just signed up to support them and got an email from the founder saying that it's the only company I know of actually that is 100% zero toxins, organic, everything's organic, and it's made in America, and all their employees work remotely. So it's a nice company to support. And then, you know, the sales is a direct sales model, so you can sign up to be a distributor and get a discount on it, and support other people too. So it may be a revenue stream as well during this time when we're all worried about finances. I'm going to go through some of the questions I've gotten emails from, and make sure I've addressed those. And I'm probably not going to share my 30 other slides here. We might, if you're interested, email me or post on Facebook or Instagram, or let me know if you're interested in doing this again, or if this information is helpful for you. In addition to C, do these supplements help boost the immune system? Zinc, B vitamins, echinacea, elderberry, vitamin D, magnesium. Oh yes, and it depends. Big fan of echinacea. There's been some question about elderberry because it can, it helps with the immune system. Some of us, especially if you have autoimmune disease, your immune system is overreactive. So, but for the most part, for most of us, it can be extremely helpful. The elderberry syrups that are in a mixture. I am going to put a link on where you can get some more high quality, some of these other herbs, and maybe we'll have another call to go into more of the herbs. B vitamins can upregulate detox as well as energy production. If you've got liver issues or gut issues, you might detoxify too fast. And so you can have a Herxheimer's response. So I always say go low and slow. And again, when it depends. We're all individual. These can really help us. And you decide. Magnesium is responsible for over 300 enzymatic reactions, and it is the most common mineral deficiency. Most of us need magnesium, absolutely. And especially if you're taking vitamin D, I really should have added magnesium to this list. So thank you for your question. We want to make sure we've got enough magnesium because magnesium is what helps with getting the everything into the cell, into the cellular membrane. If you've got insomnia, muscle tension, even palpitations, so there are a lot of signs of magnesium deficiency, constipation, and there are many forms of magnesium. Oxide that's you find in the grocery store most commonly is the least absorbable. Citrate is an absorbable form of magnesium, but it is can stimulate the bowels. So if you have constipation, magnesium citrate is perfect. Malate and glycinate are more systemic, lowering inflammation, hypertension. It's very good for 3-8 is the only one that crosses the blood-brain barrier. So that's an excellent form of magnesium for headaches, migraines, and anxiety. What else can we do to boost our immune system? I think, and are there foods besides fruit? We talked about that. Ooh, what kinds of type of probiotics is best to use to boost the immune system? Or do probiotics depend on your personal gut health? And so is there a generalized formula of probiotics that would help boost immunity? Again, it depends. I like to test with my own personal clients. We can boost our immune system with fermented vegetables, sauerkraut, kimchi. Unless you've got, it can be helpful if you've got an overgrowth of yeast or histamine or candida, you might have a reaction. And kombucha too, particularly if you've got histamine or yeast, it would be cautious with that. Is there a particular type of exercise that boosts our immune systems? Should we go outside for daily walks? Yes. Do yoga? Yes. Meditation? Yes. Trampoline? Yes. I have a little mini trampoline I bought for my grandchildren in my basement. And that was part of my daughter's cancer treatment. It's bouncing moves the lymph. It's only the pounding and the exercise and the walking that moves the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is what removes the trash. It's a waste management in our system. So even bouncing, I take mini breaks. I will turn on some music, and I teach yoga dance. I'll just dance to music between my clients just to raise my energy, my vibration, get my immune system up. How do you know when exercise is hurting your immune system response? Great question. And as I said, many of my clients need to exercise less and eat more. We think that if we just eat less and exercise more, that's a huge myth. We're going to meet our health goals. No. If you're totally exhausted and wiped out after exercising, then it's not the right exercise for you right now. Like everything else, if you eat food and then you got to take a nap, well, food should be energizing. Exercise should be elevating and energizing too. So this is all about paying attention and honoring your unique body. What is it you need? Because this is an extremely stressful time for everyone, and stress can affect adrenals and immune response, I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, what do we do to combat that? I think that's actually a good place to stop and pause for a minute. One of the best ways to flip that switch between fight or flight and rest and repair, or rest and digest, or mate and ovulate, because it's all the same in the sympathetic nervous system, is to breathe. The body follows the mind, and the mind follows the breath. And so I recommend to my clients, if you work with me, you know, before every meal, 3 to 4 times, to uncross your legs and do 4-7-8 breathing. And let's practice this. Let's first put your hand on your chest and breathe in and out of the chest. Most of us are chest breathers, and that can keep us in a fight or flight. Try and bring the chest down into the lower rib cage underneath the breasts. We can expand that rib cage and then bring it down into the lower belly. And we want a 3-part breath that is going to expand all of this area to get the most oxygen. We're oxygen deprived. So when we inhale to the count of 4, we might inhale through the heart center, the side rib cage, the lower belly. Hold it to the count of 7. And then exhale to the count of 8 with an ujjayi, constricting the breath to have a longer exhale. This stimulates all the vagal nerves from the neck all the way down around the chest, the stomach, the GI tract, into the groin. And that will flip the switch. That will help with the parasympathetic nervous system and this enteric nervous system in the stomach. So we might even add a mantra to it. We can inhale, I am healing, I am healthy, I am empowered, I am courageous. We might say whatever we want, and as we're holding it, and then slowly exhale. And you can exhale with your mouth open or closed. I am exaggerating it so that you can hear it, but you can do this quietly. People sitting next to you don't even have to know what you're doing. You might be reading your menu at a restaurant. Inhaling to the count of 4, holding it to the count of 7, exhaling to the count of 8. It's a great thing to teach your kids, if you have kids and grandchildren, to pause. And it's amazing how this will help your adrenals. Taking these little mini breaks. I was up very early this morning. I took a mini nap before this call. And what I did is I have a hypnosis tape and a meditation. There's great hypnosis. There's meditation. You can get free apps. Simply Being is an old app I've had forever that you can have music or silence or water, whatever you like. But it is important to get into this. And I've gone over my hour. So if there's any last minute questions, put it down on Zoom. I did see some feedback. Yes, please do this again. Thank you. It's really my pleasure to help share some simple solutions, some myth busters, to help us all thrive during this time, and just to have this social interaction. Give me feedback, send me your questions. Oh, bacterial soap. Okay, I gotta go with that. Toxins. I do want to share with you. EWG.org, Skin Deep Products. We're all worried about these antibacterial soaps. Some of them, the contents are high in allergies and immunotoxicity, like this one. So you can go to EWG.org, Skin Deep Products, their database, and look up. They have an app that you can download, and you can take it to the store when you're one and just scan and see what the toxicity levels, or support the women-owned, the small businesses like Pure Haven. Do I have that? Oh, here's a picture of what I've got in my, when I ordered their basic kit. So these are just samples. Toothpaste, laundry detergent. They also have a sunscreen. They have this really nice essential oil that's calming, soap, lots of nice products. Please share vitamin supplement brands you would recommend. Okay, there's a lot of really good vitamin brands, and I have a dispensary through Fullscript, which offers nutritionists and healthcare providers access to quality supplements. And what I like about using them is you can see a broad range and you can compare some of the cheaper brands that you can find at the stores too. Carlson's, some of the ones you can get. Some are just nutritional grade, professional grade products, and then some are less expensive grades that you can find in the stores too. And you can compare cost. I also I love Designs for Health. And they have a new e-commerce site, which if you're interested, I can invite you to. It's, I have my own accounts with all of the top ones, but it's hard to manage with a full practice, all these different individual accounts. So for Fullscript, they're an intermediary, but I know that they are pure and sourced, and they're delivering directly from. They just give me a platform that's easy to search and subscribe and suggest for my clients. So I've got a couple of options for that. You can email me if you'd like, and I can help you. Oh, what about continuing to have a cleaning service in during the time of social distancing? That's a good question. And I think that's between you and your service. I did have last week a cleaning service come in, and I did give them all my Master Blaster, my service cleaner, I've always had them do vinegar and baking soda and clean products. But you're not really that close to your cleaning service unless you're right there with them. Having a healthy home, a clean home, is important as a healthy home. Oh, thank you. I'm interested in attending again. I found this to be very helpful, as all I hear is the number of cases. That's right. If it bleeds, it leads on the news. So we're only hearing the negative. So I really feel like this is a public service announcement, as I said in my first slide. It's important. It's important that we share. Thank you for helping me to understand what I need with a compromised immune system. Oh, you're very, very welcome. Thank you for attending. And feel free to share this and information with others, and to reach out if I can help you in any way. And have a fantastic evening. I'm going off to have my healthy dinner now.